Hey y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, joined once again by James Duffy, the indomitable snowman. And today we're going to be talking about inter-party betrayal, betraying the party. This has recently come up in the game again and again as James has betrayed several parties. I've betrayed several parties. We think it's a great tool. It's a great storytelling technique, a device, a trope, whatever you want to call it. And it's great for that big reveal. When you reveal that you've been working against your supposed friends and allies. I love to do that gimmick. Now we both, I'm sure, have got varying amounts of heat from other players for doing this, though. If you just watched Return of the Rune Fangs 17, then you'll know that James was co-GMing, and some of his NPCs betrayed the party. Mike was pretty hot about that, Mike Lopez. A little upset out of character, which I found amusing. But we were just going to kind of ramble about betraying the party. So let's start by talking about what is betraying the party. Let's define it. So, betrayal. That's when you have someone who's supposed to be your friend, your ally. They think that you're friends and allies when you're not really. Or you are really, and then you turn the other cheek away from them into the darkness. So, James, why do you find this a fun technique or device?
It's fun for a lot of reasons. I really like the irony. And when I say irony here, I mean like dramatic irony. Something is happening, everyone expects it to be one thing, but it turns out that's not what's happening at all. I also like it because it develops a lot of emotional investment. You talked about how Mike Lopez was really hot after that session.
He was.
That's exactly what you're looking for if you're going to be running a good campaign, is affectation. You really want to affect the players and how they view the world and how they view themselves, even outside of the game and within the game. And betrayal really presents a lot of options for that emotional investment, because people just simply are emotionally invested in what's going on, and that's great to have, and it's a good thing you can manipulate within your campaigns.
Yeah, so the more invested someone is, the better that betrayal is going to work. And in this case, he was so invested that he got angry out of character. So he's maybe over-invested, and we're verging on to X-Pac heat. And I did a video on that already. And that's when the villain is so dastardly, you just get mad at the GM and quit. So that's too much. And with inter-party betrayal, that can be a fine line. For me, I always look at it like, if it tells a great story, then it's okay to do. And if the story isn't that interesting, and it seems like you're just betraying someone just as a cheap gimmick, cheap heat, just for the sake of betrayal, it kind of cheapens the whole concept of betrayal, and it can make people angry because it doesn't make sense logically. So I think that might be also part of the reason that Mike was mad, is because he didn't think that the characters you were controlling had grounds to betray the party.
Yeah, he definitely didn't understand the motive of those characters. No. Now, it is a little bit regrettable that the characters and the scenes that occurred didn't allow for a development of those elements. You know, that sort of suspicion. It could have been generated with some awareness checks, awareness, empathy, if they were questioned, if they interacted with these NPCs. But they didn't interact with the NPCs, and the NPCs strictly didn't interact with them either. Now, there was a reason for that. They are the underlings of someone who's quite high up in terms of the campaign.
Yeah.
And
we kind of have betrayal by proxy, that this man has betrayed the party, but it's his goons who actually did the betraying for him, which makes him even dirtier. But that also, it's different from him stabbing you in the back. It's his agents, so it creates a little confusion as well, which is good. Layers of mystery on top of that. If maybe it's not actually the leader. Maybe it's one of his lieutenants. You don't really know. So he has plausible deniability, and we've got layers of intrigue now to work with. But you're right, it does diminish the impact of the betrayal at that initial moment when it's intermediary.
Yeah. I think in this case, like we're sort of talking about a specific instance.
Well, let's go
specific
general.
betrayal.
Let's talk
No,
general.
I want to avoid that.
Yeah, because we already did a video. They know what happened. I'm sure all of my subscribers watch all of my videos. Please don't feel obligated to watch all of my videos. But in general, I do really like betrayal because you get that kind of that meta peak of saying, oh, I just assumed because you're a player character, we're on the same side. Oh, but it's not like that. Oh, that's, and that's interesting because a lot of people don't do that. I just love betrayal in general in fiction. You can get some really great storylines going through with that. Just because there's so much investment and the characters are so invested, and then when they turn against each other, it's always so much dirtier than two strangers who hate each other. Strangers hating each other will never be as bad as former friends who hate each other. It's always going to be worse. Think about your ex-girlfriend. Think about my ex-girlfriend. It's terrifying. But another time, like when I did betrayal that was fun, is I came in to a party claiming to be a paladin, and we had another character who was a cleric. I said, "Oh, I'm a paladin of your deity, and I've actually come because I heard you're a great prophet. I came to help you and join you." And this is all pretty. Everybody's like, "Okay, that's a generic way to join the party. Awesome." And I was helping him preach and do some healing, and for 2 or 3 sessions, I was fairly generic paladin kind of guy. The character had more nuance, but that role was set. I was a generic paladin with personality. And then we started coming up to, I went and did an aside scene with the GM, and the other players are watching me do this, and I start lying to the NPC. And I'm like, oh yeah, my friend the cleric sent me to retrieve this ancient tome from you. So if you could just hand that over, I'll deliver it to him. He really wants it. And the character who's playing the cleric is like, wait a sec, I never asked you to get anything for me. And it's like my character got the tome away from this sage, and then like I stashed it, and I started to like head out of the city, like I disappeared, and the cleric is like looking for me, and in character he starts to piece together like what's going on, and he's like, I didn't, he talks to the sage. The sage let some information slip about my whereabouts, and the cleric tracked me down, and then it was revealed that I didn't follow that god at all. I follow a completely different god. Doesn't even like your god. Our gods don't even get along. But I came in with this betrayal within those first 8 sessions. I built it up for like 4, and then that 5th session I hit the betrayal. I'm not really who you think I am. I'm not even your friend. And so me and the cleric, we had a little conflict. I was still able to keep in tune with the rest of the party, though, because they found out my motivations for betraying the cleric, why I needed this scroll, and all that gimmick. So I still ended up with the party, but that initial betrayal really colored my relationship with the cleric. He hated me. So the other players, they were fine with me, my character, but the cleric, with this tension because I betrayed him right off the bat. So it takes a lot of skill and planning with your GM to start out with a betrayal. Usually you end off with a betrayal, but I started out with one, and it was really fun. And I think another character you ran through a betrayal with was Marshall, when the players. Why don't you run us through that scenario?
Okay. It was Tortuga, a giant tortoise, obviously, wandering around through the desert with a huge city settlement on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
And our characters were planning to mount an assault against these people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going into it,
Ships.
all of us as characters, in character, knew that these were the bad guys. But we get to the island, and we are doing essentially recon incognito. And while we're doing this, we hear a lot of the philosophy of the different citizens. And it turns out that they're free-loving and they're nature-loving. And they're just trying to get away from essentially the corporate interest of this larger civilization that has a monopoly because of their geographic position. And they believe strictly that your geographic position shouldn't determine who's in power and who isn't. And we have the ability to live, so we'll live on this giant turtle. So they have a great philosophy. My character, who is a ranger, really identifies with that attachment to nature. And it's within his best interest, and really with everyone's best interest based on his philosophy, to be close to nature. Mm-hmm. So after discovering this, he sort of becomes a little indecisive about what to do here. He has this alliance with his party, but he also has this alliance with himself and with nature. And because of this, he decided to betray the party, but also stay with the party, which is always difficult to do, and it's why betrayal is always so difficult in role-playing games. You mentioned that tension that developed between you and another player.
Yeah.
That can kill so many role-play opportunities because you have this compulsion to be rude to that character or to make decisions that may not benefit that character. So in this instance, I made sure that nobody knew that I betrayed the party. So the way in which I betrayed the party was a little specific. The Tortuga had, ballistas?
Yep.
Yeah, ballistas. Covered in ballistas for defense. So we can quite easily man an offense on these people, even if they have the ballistas reasonably, because of the sort of the superpower nature of this
Skyship fleet.
Yeah, the Skyship fleet and their location. They just have everything in their favor. So we destroy the ballistas one by one and sneak around, and then we leave. But during that scene, when we snuck around and destroyed all the ballistas, my character snuck around behind the person doing this and repaired the ballistas and told no one.
He was sabotaging them so they wouldn't fire properly. He was like removing a vital firing pin. Was our rogue, and as he moves on, then James will sneak in and just add the firing pin back in. And then keep following him.
Yeah. So that really affected our ability to provide that offense during that other scene that happened later. And I don't think anybody found out until out of character. Dave had to mention it. And that would have been to Mike Chartrand.
Mike Chartrand.
Because he had such a beef with that occurrence. Because we couldn't explain how those ballistas got repaired. Because we really wanted them down as a party. It was all of our party's goal was to have those ballistas down, or so everyone thought.
Yeah, Mike thought he sabotaged them, but when they went off and they were working in the battle, he got angry at me as a GM, thinking I had pulled a fast one with some GMing nonsense. When in fact it was James who
secretly in control of the puppet master.
But Mike was getting so mad at me, saying I was a bad GM, and he got so mad at me because I wouldn't tell him anything. I said, you should investigate that in character. Why did that happen?
To Dave's credit, he didn't say anything.
And then, but Josh spilled the beans, and he said, "Oh no, it was James. James sabotaged it." So that Mike and I didn't get in a fist fight because Mike was getting really mad. And then after that, of course, Mike couldn't control his meta knowledge, so he tried to kill James's character, even though he had no in-character reason to do so. He tried to kill James's character. So, betrayal can also cause problems in meta sense, because you do want to let the GM know beforehand. You want to orchestrate things with him, but that can, if your players are immature, can cause heat on the GM, and it could cause heat on those other players, and it's just tough to orchestrate as well. Right now, Josh, we're passing a lot of notes back and forth, myself as a GM and Josh as a player who may be betraying the party.
might be.
Or perhaps is just incredibly sneaky.
I just ignore the notes.
Yeah.
I have to make a conscious effort to ignore that happened.
Yeah, but Mike Lopez has doesn't have that strong ability to do that. Now he's still a grade A player. It's just I can see him leaning. He's not going Mike Chartrand style and just barging through. He's just leaning a little towards investigating Josh's character. But did you have anything else have on betrayal?
Well, Marshall betrayed the party again.
Well, just in general, like how to do it, why it's good, why it's bad.
Right. One thing I would love to mention in terms of betrayal is you should never design a character that is going to betray the party.
Probably not.
Like you may want to do that, but you need to be really, really careful. The thing is, you need to have realistic character motivations to be with the party, and then in line with that, realistic reasons to betray the party. If you have realistic reasons to betray them but not to be with them, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Same thing if you have realistic reasons to be with them but not to betray them, then your character doesn't make any sense.
No. And then that can depend on the time frame. Because if you join with the intention of betraying them, you probably won't stick around that long before you betray them. Unless
it's a long con, then you have to think, why is it a long con? And that's great. That's perfect. We're exactly looking for those elements to cling to help develop a character.
Yeah. I'll come in every time with betraying the party, or at least keeping a dastardly secret from them. But you need to do it right. You can't come in, betray the party in session 1, and expect that to continue. Like you've just ended the whole campaign in session 1 for some reason.
Yeah, that's not fun for anyone. You have 3 characters. Let's say in a party of 4, you have 3 characters that die, and 1 character now is left, and he's completed his character goal. The end.
Or with my luck, 1 character's dead, and the other 3 are like, why did that guy try to betray us?
Yeah.
He forced us to kill him.
I think it would be cool to have a character betray the party, and they all die, and then they make new characters, and they're with the person that betrayed the party, continuing sort of that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Storyline.
I did also want to say that for betrayal, you can't overuse it. You really want to save it up. Don't use it at all, except once. It's such a great thing that if they don't see it coming, so much better.
They'll be talking.
If they get suspicious and if they're questioning everyone, that can be fun in its own right, but it's a different kind of story. Like in our game, they're suspicious of everyone, which is fun. They're paranoid, and there's thieves and assassins and spies, and it's great. But you're never going to get that moment where the cleric looks over and realizes you don't even worship his god, let alone are you a paladin or an elf. And he's just like, oh, and he's so completely bushwhacked that he gets taken right out of the game again. And that can be good, with that big surprise, a big reveal. I love that. But if it's going to happen, it's only going to happen like once because you've got to build up to it for so long. So definitely think about it beforehand. And I think that's probably all I got to really say about how to do betrayals. And then there's a couple of examples. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thanks for listening to us ramble, and we'll come right back at you with another video. Everybody have a good night.